The existence of organized salt farming in Japan began 5 to 7 centuries ago. Prior to this, the salt used for human consumption had been acquired in more direct ways. Research into the Jomon period has shown that Japan's prehistorical people began as a hunting-gathering society, and such as the meat, organs, and bone marrow of the animal on which they existed satisfy the body's need for salt and other minerals. But as the ancient people shifted away from the nomadic life and began to farm, their diet changed to one of the mostly grains and vegetables. They soon realized that the taste of salt itself, which they received in small amount from dried seaweed eaten plainly or mixed with their meals, could enhance the flavor of other foods. Thus, over the course of centuries, the people invented technique for purposefully gleaning salt from seawater. Unlike rock salt, which does not exist in Japan, sea salt dissolved quickly when exposed to moisture. It was difficult to store dry salt, and therefore it was used instead for the pickling of fish and vegetables for long-term storage. How did salt farming first come to be practiced in the village of Noto on Japan Sea? Japan experienced a period of nearly constant civil wars. This is known as the Sengoku period. Toward the end of this time, Shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu established a new government with its capital in Edo, the area known as Tokyo. The law which he created led to relative stability for the next 260 years. The seaside town of Noto was an important center supporting this samurai culture. The Noto Peninsula just out into the Japan Sea, and it was both beautiful and harsh living environment. The agriculture technique of this town are worthy of special mention. In addition to the 500-year-old salt farms, not a terraced semi-dry rice field, its mountains charcoal and long-grown shiitake mushroom have collectively been recognized as a World Agricultural Heritage Site. The people of this era worked hard, were rewarded with the blessing of ruling clan, under which the salt farm prospered. Japan produces a little less than 1 million tons of salt per year, barely enough to meet the country's demand for edible cooking salt, much less salt used for industrial purpose. The great amount needed for chlorine production, for example, are imported entirely from overseas. Japan requires about 8 million tons of salt annually, yet its self-sufficiency rate is just 11%. Its reliance on imported salt ranks it number one in the world in this regard. Most of the salt used in Japan is imported from Mexico or Australia. Much of this is needed for the chlorine industry, where salt is broken down into the component and then used as raw materials to make industrial products such as paper, aluminum, soap, glass, and enamel, liquid disinfectant, and compact discs. It is also used for tanning of leather hides and in various kinds of chemicals. Only 10% of salt in Japan is used for cooking and seasoning. In 1997, the Japanese government salt monopoly law was repealed and traditional methods were once again free to be practiced. In Noto, local community came together to educate younger generations on nearly lost production method at Japan's only remaining Agehama-style salt farms. In the town of Suzu of Noto Peninsula, with a population of just 13,000, many residents are engaged in agriculture. The surrounding mountains are home to natural charcoal, pesticide-free shiitake mushrooms, and over vegetables farms, and all around rich natural sources. Over the past 2 decades, several local salt fields have been reborn. One of these founded by a woman named Nakamide Lee, whose company, Ante, has been working on the following initiatives.